Good morning, friends. You are most welcome to Think Eyes channel. Today we are going to discuss practicing anthropology by MAAN IGNOU, and our topic is capacity development, in which we are going to discuss competencies. The capacity to perform something ably can be viewed as competency. It may be identified through the capacity gained from practice and experience. Success at work has less to do with our intelligence than with competencies, which include how we handle ourselves with others, the initiative we take, and our ability to win support for our ideas. David McClelland was one of the first to make the case that competencies rather than intelligence was what differentiated successful people from their less successful peers in the workplace. He defined a competencies as a personal characteristic, motive, behavior, skill, or knowledge that is proven to drive superior job performance. McLean 1984. These competencies are the most critical to practitioner who, as a leader, try getting results through others. Competencies among practitioners at the leadership level can trickle down through the organization, positively impacting morale, motivation, commitment, and ultimately business results. The way the leaders in an organization acts is the way the employees identify with their organizational background or its culture. A practitioner sometimes struggles in his profession not because he lacks the technical skills or knowledge to do the job, but rather because he has a competency deficit. For example, being unable to delegate or motivate others, which ultimately undermines his leadership. Specialization in contacting agencies and requests for funding. All projects and organizations helps require heaps of resources to be paid for. All projects and organizations require heaps of resources to be paid for. Getting the funding for an organization is always a daunting prospect, more so as funding structures are complicated and differ significantly between branches of study spheres and nations. Nevertheless, there is some generic specialized knowledge for bringing funders which once acquired always helps. Some categories of funding agencies are government research funding organizations, government contract research for ministries and agencies, foundations and charitable trusts, private sector corporations, international funding or aid agencies. Many funders have restrictions on which individuals and organizations can apply. Some have funding rounds at certain times of the year. Others follow very precise and specific application procedures and decline applications which do not fit the bill. Some funders have nominated areas of focus or priority and hence are particular about the sort of research they fund. Some include in their funding programs research that is directed to the production and dissemination of new knowledge. Others place much more emphasis on research likely to have an immediate impact and which has an action and change orientation. As indicated earlier, this is called applied research, which comes under the purview of practicing anthropologists. After finding the appropriate funding organization, practitioner need to gain information about it. For this, he may ask for the brochure of organization which can tell him about their philosophy and the specific eligibility requirements. With this, an application form will be usually added to know more about particular funding organizations and the way they perform, their latest annual report, and a catalog of earlier grant receivers can be checked. Also, these organizations have their information uploaded and published on their website, which is more up to date. They also have application forms available online. The practitioner, after contacting the funding agency and gaining as much information as he can about the organization, can begin the proposal writing process. The process of writing an application is long and taxing. The most important rule, thus, at a very beginning, is that he should not expedite the process of filling up the grant application. An application written in hurry is shoddy and highly unlikely to get funded. They are also bad for the organization's reputation with potential funders. Hence, a practitioner should take time with his application requisiting for funds. He should meticulously collect and put together references and transcripts. Enough time should be made use of to devise a logical and sound project. It is found that often application material consists of elaborate and long directions to fill out, where information about eligibility, prerequisites, and other prescribed contracts are needed for a positively efficacious proposal. The practitioner should fully understand the requirements and restrictions of an application before he begins. It is pertinent to adhere to instructions methodically while filling it out. Advice may be sought critically from peers from different perspectives, which can result in rewriting the proposal several times before actually submitting it. The reviewers not only help the practitioner to catch and correct errors of grammar and spelling, but also assess objectively the conceptual feasibility and practical worth of his project. Report writing skills. Report gives detailed information about research or an investigation the practitioner undertakes. The ability to write effective reports is an essential competency for any successful practitioner. A good report can make a huge difference to how a practitioner is perceived and how well he gets on in his organization. For a practitioner, it is essential to carefully prepare and plan his report. Good report writing is often more about what to leave out than what to put in. Before writing a report, a practitioner should be crystal clear about his objectives. He should be clear in his mind about why he is writing the report and what effect does he wants it to have on its readers. He should have all the information he needs to write the report. While it is quite possible to write a bad report after completing a good investigation or project, it is impossible to write a good report until one has successfully located, obtained, sorted and grouped, evaluated, prioritized and checked the right amount of relevant information. Board in 2004. A practitioner should not include anything in the report unless it is relevant and it helps him achieve his objective. It is the key to effective report writing. A practitioner should spend as much time as is necessary in designing, testing and revising the skeletal framework of the report. It should not only cover the structure and content of the report but also the relative significance and relationship between the main findings. According to Borden Ibid, the steps involved in writing and revising a good effective report can be enlisted as pre-write, targeting, outlining, structuring, developing and checking, draft the main body and appendices, beginning with a section, subsection or appendix you feel particularly confident about. Review the main body and appendices. Draft the conclusions, recommendation, introduction, and summary in that order. Check and amend the report with the assistance of a colleague and your line manager. Issue the report, possibly after discussing, clearing, circulating, and agreeing a draft report. Documentation. A documentation comes from somewhere in time and space and leads towards somewhere else. Documentation is defined as the process of accumulating and classifying documents and making them available to others. It can be understood as documents collected together as evidence or as reference material. It is defined as a piece of information which has been derived from an information flow dynamically evolving and then converted into a more stable form. Tonfoni 1996-1998. The practitioners begin with collecting information in any task or project they undertake. The amount of work involved in collecting information is so huge that it initiates new requirements and new demands for diverse plans, viewpoints, and ways to adjust to the everyday effort to endure the information workload. The practitioners thus face a complex information environment and have to cope with overwhelming quantity of documentation. The technological and conceptual tools they have are useful but not sufficient. Thus, it needs to be balanced with the inclusion of novel imagination and effective ways of viewing such useful information. The practicing anthropologist must possess the skills of analyzing the unprocessed information to be shaped later and documented. A good documentation promotes accurate and effective decision making based upon reliable information derived from consistent interpretation. Even a even an accurate report the re- Even an accurate report is the result of accurate transport of one or more conversational interaction into documental format. Representing oneself through portfolio or resume. To be a successful practitioner, he has to devote a good amount of time to create his marketing document, which is what we call a resume. A resume is to be made in such a way that it exhibits a perfect combination of practical skills, creating skills, and writing skills. It is important to bring out the spirit of who one is and convince the employer that he is better than others in the job competition. The practitioner needs to make a portfolio that reflects his personal brand and appeals to employers' specific needs, such as the need to generate income, save money, or solve a problem. Such resume should have a formal communication that indicates his command of vocabulary, grammar, and punctuations. It should display information catalog that clearly talks about his knowledge capacities, skillfulness, striking degrees from colleges, universities, etc., association with known organizations, knowledge of computers, both software and hardware. Moreover, the resume should be designed in such a way taking into consideration appealing font, layout, and format that it has visual charm. While writing his resume, the practitioner is writing his future. That's why he needs to update, advance, and re-image who he is. It is while creating the resume he needs to put in expressively his zeal, dedication, and dexterities, dexterities in it. Hence, he should visualize his future career and distinct vocation. At the last, we will discuss the summary. Capacity development efforts by practicing anthropologists need to be carefully planned. These efforts should have a clear objective and it needs to be monitored and evaluated along the way. Monitoring involves continuous systematic observation and checking on activities and their results while capacity building work is still in progress. Finally, to end, it is important to make certain that capacity development or capacity developing actions move forward as strategies. This will help to present a document of how feedbacks are to be utilized and to check out unconventionalities from the preliminary aims and anticipated results. Hence, from the unit, we have learned that with the use of the various techniques and methods of capacity development, practicing anthropologists can go a long way in bringing about changes in societies in various forms at various levels. Thank you very much.